but Metlock's boot was wide, and Argos kicker Halalahu cemented the victory by kicking the ball out of bounds with no time remaining. Metlock made just 2 of 4 field goals, also missing from 39 yards out, but the Bombers head coach was not blaming his kicker for the loss. Last night, actually, no, earlier this evening, I apologize. TSN is reporting that BC Lion wide receiver Marco Iannuzzi is going to call it a career. The 30-year-old announced on Twitter that the Lions' final 3 games will be the last of his 7-year career. Over the course of his career, he has caught 141 catches for 1,662 yards and 8 touchdowns. With the loss earlier today by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Calgary Stampeders have clinched first place in the Western Division despite their 30-7 loss last night to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saskatchewan also clinched a playoff spot with their win, eliminating the BC Lions from further playoff contention. So here is what we know. Roughly 3 weeks before the end of the season, we know the 6 teams that are already going to be in the playoffs. Now we don't know seeding. With Toronto's win today, they have control of the Eastern Conference, especially considering Ottawa has 1 game left, Toronto has 2, and currently lead the Red Blacks in the East. Out West, Calgary has clinched number 1 with the loss today by the Blue Bombers. The Bombers could still be caught for second by the Edmonton Eskimos. Depending on the game tonight, will go a long way in helping to decide who will be the crossover team going over to play in the Eastern semifinal. With an Edmonton win, they would be 1 game ahead of Saskatchewan, and with a BC win, both teams would be tied for 3rd place. I believe this is also big news as well. According to Dave Naylor, TSN Football Insider, the CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie is planning to take a look at the status of a Canadian quarterback in the CFL before the league stakeholders Canadian quarterbacks have always kind of had they don't really count. Let's put it that way. Teams do not get credit for having a Canadian quarterback playing on the field. They do not get the advantage of with regards to the ratio. Earlier this season, Brandon Bridge and Randy Ambrosie sat down to discuss the issue. Brandon Bridge is also set to sit down with Ambrosie again. And Ambrosie also plans on sitting down with league coaches and general managers. Bridge from Mississauga, Ontario, recently became the first Canadian quarterback to start and win a game in more than 30 years. The last time it happened was Calgary Stampeders during the 80s. And the quarterback was Greg Vavra, a graduate from the U of C Dinos. Bridge currently is in a backup role behind their starter Kevin Glenn, but has been getting used more and more as the season has gone on. As a matter of fact, last night after the second sack by the Calgary Stampeders, the next time the Rough Riders came on to the field to start a drive, Brandon Bridge led them for the rest of the game, helping them garner the win. I don't know, I got to tell you right now, okay, I'm a Calgary fan, okay? Love the Flames, love the Stampeders. I'm not 100% sure how to word this and how to say this, but let me put it to you like this. Last night's win was a wicked eye-opener, and it better have slapped the red and white right square in the face, and hopefully they felt it down in their toes, because let me tell you something. They, at the start, the first game of the year, had a huge got off to a huge start. They got the breaks, but from the second half of that game on until last night, the Rough Riders have had the Stampeders' number. The game in Regina a couple weeks ago, very lucky that the Stampeders came out of that game with a win. And last night, they just, I think, I don't know what the Stamps are doing. It almost looked to me like they brought in a high school football team to take on the Rough Riders. Now, there's going to be some green watermelon wearing, loving Rough Rider fans are going to hear this and think this is the ramblings, of course, of a Stampeders fan. But I got to give you 100% credit. Chris Jones, since he left the Stampeders, has had the Stamps number. You think back to the 100th Grey Cup, Chris Jones coaching the Toronto Argonauts. Against Stampeders, the Stampeders could do nothing offensively that game. Last night, I will say, it was probably the first time I would have to use injuries as an excuse for the Stamps. Yes, Durant is back. Yes, Jordan's back. But they were missing Mark Ray McDaniel. They also lost Michel with an apparent hamstring injury fairly early in the first quarter. Bo Levi Mitchell took his shots down the field, failed to connect on a beautiful pass. I want to say it was Kamar Jordan. Just passed, just out of his reach. the Stampeders offense, and it sounds funny when you consider this team has scored over 60 points. They've scored 59 points. But you know what? This offense has not been right since the Toronto game. And I think the Toronto game was an enigma because Bo Levi Mitchell has not been Bo Levi Mitchell. Bo Levi Mitchell does his own 1 hour radio show in Calgary on the Fan 960. And I would want to say it was about 2-3 weeks ago. Actually, it might have been before the Toronto game. He said that offensively, we try to get up by 2 scores, and then we let things dictate themselves after that. And I've actually seen it in games this year where they've jumped out to 2 scores and their offense just goes absolutely flat. They can't move the ball. You know, they might get a first down or 2, and and then they punt it away, and then something seems to happen, and the other team comes in and gets a score on them, gets to within 1, and then all of a sudden, miraculously, Bo Levi Mitchell comes out and he can move the ball again. Another thing that I have an issue with this. Last Monday, Bo Levi Mitchell was asked why he didn't run the ball in when he had pretty much a guaranteed touchdown against Hamilton last week. Like it was guaranteed. Like there was nobody around him. He was 10 yards out, wide open field. His response was, "I'm a quarterback. I get paid to throw the ball. I'm not a running back." Paraphrasing, very similar to that, okay? That kind of hit me funny. You are the leader of this team, of the Calgary Stampeders. It is your job to move the ball up and down the field and score touchdowns. It is not your job, Bo, to lead the team, get it into the red zone, and then have to kick a field goal. Far too often I have seen opportunities for Bo to run the ball for first downs, run the ball to continue drives, and he moves around, he runs around, getting himself out of trouble behind the line of scrimmage, but he never takes a shot at actually running the ball. I do believe, and I will have to look this up in my next break, but I do believe that Bo Levi Mitchell has 2 rushes this year. And it was after Labor Day before he rushed for the first time. Okay? Anyone who's watched the Stampeders, Andrew Buckley comes in on short yardage. Third and short, third down gambles. Inside the 2 or 3 in the red zone, Buckley comes in. I have grown up, and this may also tell you my age.